A good game, a great thriller, and a terrible detective. In this video I won't give you any spoilers for either the first or the second part, only the plot of the second one. Let's talk about the most important thing. This genre is a thriller, and the plot is very important here, because in the thrillers we always get a mystery at the beginning of the story. We don't understand anything, and then at the end we react like this.
It's genius!
It's cool, it's
so
the
genius.
perfect one,
It's so
a diamond,
genius.
Did you understand anything? No.
Genius!
It's just
so
genius!
genius!
In short, the plot is one of the most important things in this genre. So if you haven't passed the first part and the control, don't even start the second part. You just won't understand half of what's going on. It's like watching Star Wars starting with The Empire Strikes Back. So now I will just say one thing. The plot is really interesting. But in any thriller, the most important thing is how you end it. You can make up any nonsense, parallel universes, aliens, mermaids, Cthulhu, you have a girlfriend, any fantasy. But at the end you have to explain everything and explain it in a way that the players have no questions. Does the second Alan Wake explain everything that was in the first game? There will be probably a third one. Where the game starts? You play as me during the quarantine, climbing out of the lake completely naked, trying to figure out where you are. But then some guys with knives jump out at you and kill you a little bit. Then we see that over the character's body they perform some strange ritual and cut out the heart. You know, typical day in the American countryside. Next, an FBI detective named Saga comes to the town of Bright Falls and goes to this body that is somewhere in the woods. And the game starts. And it's changed a lot compared to the first part. Now you have to shoot really less. And a lot of time it's devoted to detective, research and solving mysteries. For example, with these carps. You start walking around, exploring the area and collecting clues to figure out what happened. But what's interesting is that the game doesn't give you any clues about where to look. You have to walk around and look for them yourself. A clue can be an object, a dialogue that gives you an important information about the case, or an event. So when we see that the carp's chest is cut open, it's an event. Then we see that there is a tripod nearby, that's an object. And the story that it's a former FBI agent who disappeared 13 years ago, that's a dialogue.
Any idea who the victim is?
Oh, I sure do. His name is Nightingale. He was FBI. He came to town about 13 years ago.
After we collected the evidence, we can open the head of our hero and see her inner world. It's called a mind place. So you press a button, but instead of another menu you see that you appear in a room. That is in the imagination of the main character. There you can improve weapons, look at the manuscript pages, about which more later, and hand out all the clues and data on the board, connecting them with a string. Which of course pisses me off, because no one actually does this. It was just invented by Hollywood. But okay. And this board is the most important thing we have. It's a place where we can put all our knowledge together. For example, we have two questions on the board: who's killer and who's the victim. And we have some facts that we know. Lots of footprints, a camera tripod and an abandoned cooler full of beer. And information that he's an FBI agent and that he disappeared 13 years ago. And we connect the name and the disappearance to the victim. And the tripod, the beer cooler and the footprints to the killer. And it turns out that we know who the victim is. And that there were multiple killers. It was all planned and they were waiting for him with beer to kill time. And they filmed the murder. And the mechanic is cool. I liked it. But unfortunately, it turns out that you can't go wrong with it. Because if you get one fact wrong, the hero just says, let's try again. And that's a missed opportunity. Imagine how cool it would be if further investigation depended on their own choice. Okay, well, it's hard to write all the dialogues. I understand it. Then at least you could do it in that way. The hero says wrong version, and her partners say it's bullshit, and try again. So what do you think happened? So we had footprints, beer, a tripod and an agent missing for 13 years. I get it! Our victim actually quit the police 13 years ago and started selling his naked video through OnlyFans. But this time something went wrong and his cameraman and director killed him! Let's try again. But unfortunately there isn't. So you end up getting your facts right whether you want to or not. And in general, I really like this mechanic. But there is a big but. The character's intuition. Here's an example. We've pieced together all the facts about our OnlyFans guy, but we don't have any more evidence. At this point, we can go into the character's head, and she will analyze all the facts and magically find the answer to the question. Where did the OnlyFans guy come from? We as players know that from the lake, because we saw it, but she as the hero didn't see it. But she starts thinking about the question and somehow magically realizes that he came from the lake. It's not even logical. You don't even know that there is a magic and mysticism yet, so you wouldn't think that. And it happens all the time. Yeah, and then the autopsy showed that he's got all the signs of prolonged exposure to water. Yeah, and then the plot explains how she does it. But it still takes me out of the dive. Any question I don't have an answer to, my intuition tells me. Where are we going? To the lake. But why? Intuition. Honey, where's my socks? Under the bed. But how did you know? Intuition. Are you cheating on me? How did you find out? Intuition? Yes. And cameras. I put it on the bedroom. But why did you do that? Only fun. The locations are very cool and elaborate, by the way. Being in the forest, I could even get a vibe from the second Witcher. The forest here is also very small, but it is made in such a way that you constantly get lost in it and have to constantly check the map. It's cool. Well done. The locations are also full of different puzzles and hidden little things, like lunchboxes with manuscript fragments that you can find in the locations and use to upgrade the weapons of Saga. You will also find hidden locks and strange places with hints on how to solve them. And if you can solve them, you will receive a reward, such as new weapons or consumables. You will also find various notes and journals written by other people that will shed more light on what happened in general. Later on in the story you will find a manuscript page where it is written that the hero found this page and is now reading it, indicating that we're actually in a book written by someone else. The combat system is typical for a survival horror game. You move slowly, and when an enemy appears you can aim at it, but in this game the point is that you can damage it until you shine a flashlight on it. And shining a flashlight on enemies wastes battery. So we have two important resources: batteries to make enemies mortal and ammunition to kill them. And according to my feelings, in this part it is much harder to kill enemies. But the trick is that there are much less of them than in the previous games of the series. And we can focus more on the narrative and exploration. In general, I like the combat system, but the problem is that the whole game is very dark. I mean, very dark. Because of that, I often found myself in a situation where the enemy is running towards me. I want to dodge, but I can't, because the hero hits his head against the wall, and I don't understand it, because I can only see what is in front of me, because nothing else is illuminated but the flashlight. Next in the story we find Alan Wake, and if you think that before the story was strange, now the real psychedelic begins. Again, without spoilers, but I want to say that as soon as we started playing as Alan, I realized how stylish the game is, how much the developers worked on every inch of the environment to make you believe in it, even with the horrible light filter that makes everything too dark and you can't see anything. And also, playing as Alan, I realized that the game has a great gameplay design, because when you walk through the city you realize that the levels are basically a sausage, but at the same time they made in such a way that it seems as if you found the only right way to go on, when in the fact it's the developers who so cleverly guide you through the level. Also, playing for him you will also find different secrets, weapon improvements, and even can change locations using the lamp, and not only.
Things clicked into place. The story rang true. I was making progress.
But these are really strong spoilers. So listen, if you like thrillers, strange and confusing stories and mysteries, make sure you play the first Alan Wake, Control, and the second Alan Wake. And just in case Quantum Break, maybe it has something to do with the rest of the story, but I'm not sure. So yes, I really suggest you to try this game. It is worth your money and time. And remember, if you don't know what to do with your life, use intuition. I need to buy some cryptocurrency.